All right. We got a great laid back call tonight. For the people here, you're gonna it's just gonna be a really great call. Trust me. A lot to learn from. And it's gonna help a lot of people's mindsets tonight. Getting started, let me share my screen real quick. There's everybody here. I'm looking at the names. Everybody here pretty much, actually, let me stop sharing. Everybody pretty much, I'm looking here. Sapphire's jumping in. Knows me. I think it's a lot of MIH people I see on here, but a couple people aren't. Real fast, 10 seconds. This call and all calls, all master classes, we have so many coming up. We have an 80 unit deal review from Hadar, me, Hoon, and Vince, which we got it at 25K a door, an $800,000 discount, $2 million purchase. That's going to be like one of the next master classes next month. A full deal review. There was a freaking meth lab in one of the apartments. And Hadar's gonna go over the roofs, the siding. I mean, I think it's like a million, 2 million it's the amount of capex is ridiculous. Jason Heiss letting in. So that's the next master class. And then I'm gonna do a master class on something else. I think I'm gonna be on Nico and Yosef's free education Zoom. So guys, just keep looking out for these. Yes, there's recordings, but I want you to show up because what happened right now? I pointed out Steve Velez needs to network with Sean Lowry. I want you guys on the chat networking. Carlos Daza hasn't met Craig. He's going to meet him tonight. So that's why you guys can watch a recording, but show up to those next ones, man. The 80 unit deal review for Hadar, you need to show up and be present. Guys, I have 4,000 units now. I have 47 multifamily deals. Why am I doing free master classes? I live for this shit. I live for being a go-giver and adding value. So does Craig. Craig is like, I want to help people with my story. I want to show people how they could do it. So for people who are not here, this is brought to you free by MIH Mastermind, the mastermind me and Hadar run. We have 250, 280 strong family members, as you see tonight. Most of them are on marcobarbaro.com. My website's got my family and bio, my 47 properties. Sharpline Equity team is the syndication company that I'm with, Chris Jackson. I have 29 generational wealth and 18 syndications. Sharpline Communities is our self-management company. The multifamily analyzer Synthesis by Chris Jackson, a great underwriting tool. MIH Construction is going to be my new business that we will be doing a new build soon, probably 100 unit plus. MIH Realty Business Acquisitions. I am buying my first business with Normal. We are closing in probably 30 days. And I don't want to say what it is. It's something very strategic and amazing. So business acquisitions is something I'm getting into new, which when it's proper, I think I have another business lined up in 6 months, a similar one to it. So I'm going to be doing, and we're going to be doing, Normal's going to be doing a business acquisitions masterclass in 4 months from now after we close. So that we're going to do for MIH. So what are we teaching? Be a student for life. You guys want to learn crypto? We have a crypto chat. You want to be healthy? We have a health and wealth health chat. So we're going to just be students for life. Whatever you guys want to learn, we'll create it. We'll look into it. We'll mastermind together. That's what MIH is about. So let me stop share. Right now, and I want to welcome a couple people. Nick Rizzanti, my buddy from New York, man, full time. Nick. You down in Florida yet? Or are you moving?
Not yet, man. It's in the works, but I'm back and forth.
He joined Jake and Gino. He's got a couple deals with Ken Baker on the phone. He's got like 4, 2, 6 or something down in Florida. Great friend of mine. He's starting MIH. I could have got him to MIH 2 years ago. He's my buddy. I didn't need to because we can network or whatever together, but now's the time. He's serious. He's doing this, going to be doing it full time. He's starting in the June group, which is awesome. So he's going to be in the new June group with some really, really great people. If you haven't met him on here, Carlos Daza, everybody here, Sapphire, everybody reach out to Nick and start networking with him. Okay. In saying so, let's get started. Let me add one more person. Somebody's admitting. What do we got tonight, guys? We got Craig Napoliello, and I'm going to love his story. And I'm just going to ask him. I have a bunch of questions lined up. I'm going to say a couple things about him, and then I want him to introduce himself with the first question. But let me pull this up. So, what I love about Craig is when he joined MIH, calls me. He's already got like a 20 and he's going over his story. And he was following me, loved what I was doing. We're talking. I didn't have to pitch him. He was in. He knew what he wanted. He's like, I got this big deal. He met Hadar, he met me. He's like, I know what I know and I know what I don't know. And he joined and we helped him with questions, systems, whatever, support, because he's got a high level W-2. There's only so much time in the day. So you need help from people. He could have did it all on his own, but he wouldn't have slept. So why not get somebody to help you and get some sleep? You know what I'm saying? So Craig started out very simple like me. I started out with a 4-family and 50K in 1998 when I was 23 years old. This story today, because we learn from stories, not from lectures and graphs and stuff like that, is like mine. Guys, I started with a 4-family and $50,000. I'm not a big shot. Nobody's really a big shot when you see this on social media. Oh my God, he's not a big shot. Everybody was a beginner. Really. So when I started my 4-family, and then now I jumped in when I was like 33, 34, we bought a 25 unit. I never thought I'd be able to buy a 25 unit. I didn't know how to I didn't know how to do that. Like, can I really come up with all that money with 3 or 4 partners? And then when you do that, and then I surround myself with people doing bigger. And that's what you did. This is the secret where tonight, why you here? A 6-figure guy gets to 7 figures by getting mentored by a 7-figure guy. A 7-figure guy gets to 8 figures by getting mentored by an 8-figure guy. A 8-figure guy gets to 9, and so on. That's how you do it. Right now, I have a mentor that makes $5 to $10 million a year. That's what when I first started, I had mentors that were not at that. When I was at 60, when I wanted to get to 7 figures, that's what we do. So in saying that, the first question that we're going to start tonight, because it's basically going to introduce you. Craig, please tell us a little bit about yourself for the people. Introduce yourself, your W-2, and how you started, like me, basically.
Yeah, thank you so much for the introduction, Mark. I'm excited to be here. And many of the folks in the call here I haven't met, so great to see all of you. So I just moved to Connecticut. I lived in New York City for 20 plus years. I moved to New York in 2003, basically with a suitcase. Moved up here, got a job as a waiter in a restaurant. Wanted to get a job in finance. Had no, really not really any friends up here. No money. And just sort of moved up here, lived in my friend's parents' computer room, and just pounded waited tables, pounded the pavement until I got a job on a trading desk, and just sort of worked my ass off from there, and sort of climb the ranks, and that was sort of my professional beginning with I say from a very very modest start, and that's sort of that start. I think that really is what drove all these other sort of things up, pursuit and understanding that just it's a simple equation. It requires, hard work and focus and dedication and, being humble. And sort of apply that to real estate as well. After 20 plus years in the city, I moved to Connecticut because I'm married now. I have a 2.5-year-old. So we moved to Connecticut in December. And I have a job, I feel very grateful. I have a W-2 job that I absolutely love. I work with my 2 best friends from college and then 8 other folks.
1 second. Stop that 1 sec. So see what I love about Craig? Right away. Don't lose your train of thought. He says, I love my job. It really bothers me. In America, we live in the best country. When people go, I hate my job. It's the golden handcuffs. So that bothers me. Because you know why? When you're 21, do that fucking job till 30, 35. Take 20, 30% of your income, like Kiyosaki says. When you go buy your house, when you go buy your car, buy one that you could save with your wife. My wife didn't work ever. It was all on me. I did all this by myself. If my wife worked, do you imagine what I could have did? So if you, with double incomes, buy a house, save 20, 30%. And from 21 to 30, you don't make a lot of money in your 20s, but when you're 30, 32, 33, invest, buy a duplex, buy something, buy crypto, buy stocks. So, and and if you hate your job, he loves his job. When people say, I hate my job, if you hate your job, find another job, go into another industry, do something else, keep going. You said you love your job with your friends. Go ahead.
Yes. So I have a unique position. Not all jobs are created equal until we get that, but I'm very fortunate. I set up a good structure for myself. I work with my 2 best friends from college. We're in a structure where we participate in the upside of our business. which has allowed me to sort of like to very aggressively invest in real estate. So I've been able to use that job to sort of fuel my growth in real estate, and that's where I put, as my income has grown, I have, instead of, buying things that are, kind of like pretend assets, I've devoted the vast majority of my growing income to, to real assets, to real estate and other cash flowing assets. So, so then real estate, I basically started, I would say that I started really, paying attention to real estate, like in a real way. I mean, I've always looked at Zillow and was interested in real estate, but like to look at real estate like a business, not like a hobby or an interest, was 2019. I started with a duplex. I started with a duplex 2019. I joined Jake and Gino. During Jake and Gino, I bought about I think 52 units in apartments. And again, a lot of that, like for me going from the 2 to the 10, the 21 and 22 units, a lot of that was obviously sort of the comfort of being able to work with people that understood the market and real estate and financials and all these different things that, were kind of my blind spots. That allowed me to go from 2 to 52. And then, then from there, I joined, after Jake and Gino, I joined MIH Mastermind. And I also joined a mobile home park. Again, I was not sort of as comprehensive and as deep and as MIH, but like, it did give me the ability to sort of like, it did open my eyes to sort of some of the unique benefits of that niche. And so that helped me with some of the education pieces of mobile home parks. Then I joined MIH Mastermind, and the next thing I did was 400 units. So so basically that was like, really you can sort of see in between that. I went from, the 2 to 52 was from Jake and Gino and that education. And then the 52 to 400 was was from MIH Mastermind, being around large operators, people that have just a sort of a different mindset. I saw it, like Justin post something in the chat today about like a very large deal he was considering. And, I thought, I literally made me think of like the first, very large deal I did. And like, it wasn't that much time between the 2 units and the 400 units. And the 400 units, by the way, was a lot of my personal money. So, I mean, that was a fucking huge risk for me at that time. And I would never have, it's these like sort of minor tweaks. Like, I didn't really know what the fuck I was doing. I mean, it certainly was not like, it's obviously like Marco and Chris run a very professional operation, Sharpline. They know all their shit inside and out. I mean, I'm not even close to that now. At that time,
Craig, you are now. Guys, when he says he dropped 7 figures of his money on this deal with 3 partners, he closed like a humongous multi-million dollar deal with 4 guys. And what I loved about him was, Craig is like me. He moves very fast. His brain thinks really quick, like me, and he's an action taker and he's a go-getter. But he knew one thing, that he wanted to be in MIH, because I got to give Hadar a lot of credit. Hadar really worked with him, and he picked Hadar's brain. And Hadar, we were so excited for him because he's going to go into it. The deal had like how many mobiles, how many how many single family, and the commercial buildings. Tell this big deal that you bought. Like I was like, whoa. I'm like,
yes.
I was so happy.
So it was one owner. Yeah, it was one owner. It was basically the one owner was 270 mobile home park pads, 79 apartments, commercial building, 22 single family homes. So that was that one owner. Then while that was under contract, we then got 2 more mobile home parks under contract in the same county. So it was about 400 units that first bite, which was like, that all those 400 units closed within like 2 weeks of each other. So I mean, by the way, and it was an absolute mess. I mean, like, like mom and pop owner, literally like, all the rent rolls were like on paper. It was an absolute fucking wreck. By the way, like it was like, but again, like I think that again, like I had the confidence to do that. One, I think I was like sort of buying it right, but additionally to have, I was already part of like a broader network then, which, it's not like, Hadar and Marco were like, they're like swinging hammers, but like, obviously, having this sort of the support, like really sort of like emotion. I mean, it's scary shit. Obviously we all been there that have bought something, right? Like buying things at the beginning.
Craig, I was scared when you did this.
Yeah.
We were talking. I'm like, holy cow. Like, I was like, we're so into the call in the mastermind. I looked at Hadar. Hadar's like, mate, I got to get on with him. This is amazing. So like he's going to tell you, I think he sold off, he bought it as a package. He got an unbelievable deal. He sold off the 22 single families. Basically, they were free. They came in almost free because he got such a good deal. And he sold off all 22 and made money on that. And then he started positioning this and that. And I mean, we could talk an hour and a half just on this deal, besides all the questions I have, you know.
Yeah. So anyway, so basically it was like, but like, again, like if you look sort of through that deal, and I guess, by the way, even now, we're still not, we've have sold off a bunch of the stuff we didn't want. We bought more of the stuff we wanted. We divested the stuff we didn't want. Like there's some things we did, again, operationally, there was a ton of growing pains. I mean, like, even just the finance bookkeeper role, I'm sure I wasted, at least $100,000 trying to figure out that one problem. I mean, like, so there was like, there was within this, there was, I'd say multiple six-figure mistakes. I mean, when I say, mistakes, like, really like sort of learning, long, painful learning moments. But again, obviously I'm so grateful that I did that. And that's sort of like, that is like just changed everything for me in the sense of like, how I manage risk, how I evaluate real estate, building teams, building systems. By the way, this is, we're 3 years in now from this deal. And we've added a lot more things since then. But listen, it's still, still very much we're still learning things the hard way and that deal to this day.
So Craig, we could talk about that deal, but that was just to let them see how, like, you start with a duplex and then you jumped in because you're an action taker like me, and you just like went all in, but you had a plan. You joined the mastermind, like you got around the right people. And so now number three, question like three, because you basically talked about like crucial systems. We're not going to go into all the systems. Hadar helped you. You helped yourself. You're in the mobile home park mastermind. Number three, a topic I like. Let's talk about time management, because you're a high level W-2. You're a high earner, right? And people make excuses like, and in my group, I get a lot of doctors, Dr. Ari, Dr. Yin, and I'm helping high earners in MIH to be great LPs and JVs, the LP GP mindset. I'm teaching them how to be JVs, that we don't have to be very active. They have to do something, but they're getting educated to be LPs. But you're very active. Let's talk about a little bit of time management. Like when you get home, you monetize your day like me. You're not wasting a minute of your day. So please elaborate. Like, how are you able to do this, and how can, and other people can do this? Like we all can do this.
It's totally, I would say it's totally doable. I mean, it's certainly not easy, but it's, of course, like, anyone, we all have the same 24 hours. I'm sure that anyone on this call can do exactly, what I'm doing. But I mean, I've got, I have a young, which again, everyone on this call has, they've shipped, pull at time. Like I have a 2.5-year-old, I have a wife, I have a, full-time job. Again, everyone has their own list of things, they're very important in their life. So I work on this stuff at night. Like my daughter goes to sleep at, by 7 pretty much every night. I work on this stuff at night. I get up at 5:30 in the morning, work on the stuff in the morning. I pretty much like, and even like, it's not like, when I say this, I'm not sitting here like going through spreadsheets necessarily, but I'm like, devoting time to like, improving myself. Yes, it's not, some of these tasks are not directly related to real estate, but like, I mean, I was really reading like Robert Kiyosaki's The Cash Flow Quadrant on the train this morning. It's pretty much on the train both ways. A lot of my friends, again, nothing wrong with this. A lot of my friends, most of my friends, let's say, drink beers on the trains with their buddy. I've had, I've been commuting for 5 months now. I've had, I think, 1 or 2 beers on the train because I'm like sitting there reading, working, doing something on my commute to and fro, right? So I mean, again, I like, went into this like, I could, basically whine to my friends about that I'm on the train for 2 hours a day, or I can like basically, use that time in solitude away from my, family and like make the most of it. So I'm either, I'm reading, I'm working, I'm looking over, again, like, emails or financial stuff, or something related to the business. So I'm basically sort of, when I say I'm squeezing this in, this is not like it's not a sacrifice to me at all. Like I'm starting now, really 5 years in, I'm starting to really feel the impacts of this. So for me, it's a no brainer. You know what I mean? Like, like the things that I'm like
5 years in, we're going to go into year 8 is like the snowball effect. I'll talk about that later, but what he just said is he's going to elaborate on that. Guys, when you're starting out and you're buying deals, and if say you're doing heavy lifts and not cash flowing for 2 years, or they're cash flowing and you can't get a refi now because rates went up, you're not going to really. You need those 5 years to start see the law of compounding kicks in you're like year 5, 6, 7, and 8. Organically now, my net worth is gonna go like double. Like my net worth went from like 5 million to 25 million. And like okay, it's gonna go from 25 to 50 organically very easily. Like I don't have to do anything. I could just go sit on the beach right now and organically because of the law of compounding, because I bought the 47 deals. But in the first 5 years, it doesn't happen. When you hit year 5 to like 8, the law of compounding is happening. And and that's what I love about Craig. He told me, he's like, yeah, I really didn't see much for the first 5 years. I bought all these fucking units and I'm not able to refi some. Like he actually did a very big refi just recently, and it's in year 3 or 4 or 5. So it's like year 3 or 4. You need these refis, guys. You got to buy deals with refis. So keep going, Craig.
So, oh yeah, so my point is like anyone can do it. I just basically like I've started just allocating. I've been just I've been more intentional, especially now having a child, and like obviously that time, like there's a lot of times I basically when I'm with my wife and child that I don't want to basically be like sort of half in half out. So that's again that means that I can, if I want to do that well, then if I want to do that well, if I want to go to the gym, if I want to be successful in my job, that means I have to work on the stuff at night on the train, and I get up at 5:30 in the morning. So again, all things.
Also, you also told me when you get home, like people, what you don't realize, I'm very similar to Craig. When I was at the restaurant, I didn't waste time. When I got home, like he gets home, he eats dinner, spends time with the wife and the baby, he's and maybe not really watching TV. You don't watch a lot. Like successful people, we don't watch a ton of TV. He'll maybe just to wind down and watch a little bit, but puts the baby to bed. And then from like 9 to like 12, sometimes he's doing work, goes to sleep, wakes up at 5:30, starts all over again, because we love what we do. So, I mean, it's not for everybody. There's a
Yeah.
lot of people 9 to 5 that want to get home at 5 o'clock, eat dinner. They want to watch Netflix or TV from like 7 to midnight. Or the ball game. That's fine. Like when I'm watching the Yankee game, I'm processing leads. I booked 6 tours on Sunday when I was watching the Yankee game. On Sunday. On Sunday, my property managers are not working. They work from 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. But me, I work 7 days a week, 365, bro. I booked 6 tours
Oh
on
yeah.
Sunday.
That's not, yeah. I basically, I literally work. I say I work 7 days a week. This is not like I'm not like I'm happy about it. I mean, like again, my wife's telling me more like when my daughter, my daughter basically naps from 1 to 3 on the weekends. Like I'm either basically like I'm basically going to the gym or I'm in this office. I'm basically like I literally work 7 days a week. And again, this is not like oh woe is me. Like I mean that's what it requires. I mean like and first of all I'm excited about it. I love the sort of the quiet time, and as I sort of like try to help as I try to transition to especially like being more strategic with like what I'm doing with the business and growing the business and making the business more efficient and building the team, all these things that basically like that is like how do I get better, how do I get bigger and better, or just or just better. That requires that requires a lot of thought, and that doesn't like that a lot of that's again if I want to be more strategic and just sort of evolve the way that I'm approaching the business and thinking and sort of attacking different opportunities, it requires again time on the weekends and at night and in the mornings. But again,
Craig, this isn't like me. I love this. I'm gonna be like, so when you start making a lot of money and you have a lot of deals like me right now, I told my wife I'm going to pool with my wife tomorrow for like 3 hours. But I can't sit there and do nothing. I'm actually gonna process leads while she's on her phone or something, and we're gonna get a drink. But it's not forever. But if you put the work in and you love what you do, when you get old, you're gonna have more time. You don't have to, and then you can like when I'm 70. I'm going to be going to events, speaking, having fun, networking, helping young guys, and just giving all my knowledge. And that's what you're going to be doing, Craig, too. So let's move on to, you covered the time management. Basically, it's like, guys, time management, he just makes the most out of every second of the day. So do I. If you guys see me on the chat 11 o'clock at night, I'm like, yeah, just book the tour. Like I'm watching the Yankee game, the Knicks game, whatever, every second of the day, I love to be engaged. It's what it's called, Craig? Being engaged. Craig is engaged 7 days a week. Do you see the intensity in him right now and me? The fire, the intensity. Me and him in the morning, He calls me at 8:30. We talk half hour. We're both after our call about to run through the doors. You know what I'm saying? So if I want to get pumped up, I call Craig in the morning. So
Yeah.
basically time management, you know, is there a balance? You know what the balance is? We want to crush it. Just crush it for our families and make
Yeah,
money.
and I enjoy that. I mean, the crushing for the family thing is obviously that's like, you know, that's just a great feeling. By the way, also, like, you know, on the flip side though, I certainly don't, you know, like, I mean, I'll take naps on Saturday if I'm tired, by the way. So you know, I don't believe as well that it's like you should run yourself into the ground. I mean, I'll take it. I mean, if I'm tired, I'll take a nap. I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, so this is not like I don't like beat myself up. If there's a Saturday where, you know, where I'm tired or I'm like not feeling up for it or whatever it is, like, I mean, I know that like over the body of work, like through the course of a week or a month, like I know I'm putting the work in, you know, so like I'm not afraid to, you know, go, you know, take a day off, you know, go hit golf balls, take a nap, like, you know, go take, you know, take my daughter out. Like, so this is not like I would say that I have that despite what this may sound like, I think I have a very balanced existence. I'm just basically like, again, what I've done is I've cut out a lot of things that I realized like didn't mean that much to me. Like, sure, like, do I think Friends is funny? I do, but like for me to watch 3 hours of Friends reruns isn't like that, you know, isn't important to me. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, I'm the same way. You know what? I'm turning 50 this year. And as you get older, you start realizing time is limited. And every day, I'm looking at Ian right now, and me and Ian talk about this all the time. Time is so fucking precious. Every day is a special day for me, man. I don't know, you know, like, and I want to make the most of every day because business wise, I'm doing good. My family's healthy right now. So if I'm doing good in business and my family's healthy, I want to squeeze out every day, man. I really do. I had such a great day today. Even when I have a bad day, I'm fixing a $150,000 foundation problem. That's not my fault, but even though that's a bad day, I'm still gonna make it a good day with my family after. So one thing I want to cover, I'm going to skip one of the questions. Let's talk about, I'm going to go backwards and forwards and come back. Let's talk about delayed gratification. You were talking about that.
So and also someone put in the chat a question about, which I may get after, about getting your spouse on board with the hours and stuff.
Oh,
So
okay, that was the next question. So the next question actually is, um, hold on one second. You hold on. Talk about positioning the upside to your family and getting them on board, and also your wife being a real estate professional.
yeah, so I mean, I think this is a huge piece. Like, is it like I basically, you know, my wife, you know, to her credit, you know, she is 100% on board, 100% on board. She's a real estate professional, which I'll go into that in a minute. But basically, you know, I sort of like, you know, I sold her this vision, and you know, my wife is, you know, is inherently not a risk taker. And so, you know, she really had to, you know, but again, she's not a risk taker naturally, but she, you know, believed in me, believed in the vision, you know, got behind this 100%. And, you know, and she became a real estate professional, which is again, my wife, by the way, was you know, very successful, had a job. She's a partner in an art gallery. She did that for 20 plus years. And during COVID, when we were basically, you know, away from our jobs at a house and, you know, sort of a little in isolation, I sort of talked her through about basically like what I was thinking, what I wanted to do, how I wanted to, you know, sort of like rotate a bunch of our assets into, you know, mobile home parks, which obviously I knew barely anything about, she knew nothing about. And so sort of talked her through that. I went super deep on like all the tax benefits of like bonus depreciation and real estate professional. I explained that to her, which by the way, like that sounded like an idea to me, but like, you know, until you really do it. I mean, for my wife, she was basically, is this like a real thing? And, you know, so my wife literally changed the entire structure of her job that she had for 20 years to become a real estate professional. So she made a huge, you know, again, fucking, I mean, that's, I mean, just think about that. For you guys have been working 20 plus years. If your spouse said, hey, by the way, I have there's this thing in the tax code and I want to take a bunch of money, go do this, and we're gonna get these tax benefits. Although you've never heard these tax breaks, you know nothing about what I'm about to put a shitload of our money in. And by the way, that job that you like, you know, went to college for and been doing 20 plus years, I want you to like rejigger that so that it basically fits into this fucking tax loophole. My wife did that. So, you know, so credit to her for, you know, buying into that. I know most people will not do that, but even sort of the baseline thing, like the real estate professional thing, by the way, has made us or saved us millions and millions of dollars. So again, now like
So
the
guys,
feeling of
once
that,
again, to be honest, the real estate professional thing, him and even all of us, people in MIH know this. If you invest like 300-400K in a deal and you're a real estate professional, you're gonna get back like 50 to $100,000, like 50, $80,000 that year in tax. Like it's tremendous, the tax
yeah.
savings. He
And when we
invested
were doing
so
it,
much.
it was 100%. And
Yeah.
mobile home parks are the best ones. I mean, like that could be a 2-hour call itself. But like basically, well, the things that my wife did unlocked literally, it's not
Millions.
exaggeration, not a million, millions,
Yep.
millions of savings for us. So I mean, so that's one piece of it. But even the baseline of like the time management thing, like my wife, again, this is now years into it. I mean, this didn't start this way, by the way. This started with like her like crying at the dinner table, which she would say that if she was in this call. It started off fucking hard because it's basically like you can't see the benefits yet. I'm like throwing out this like wild idea, and she's basically like then we get into the trenches. It's fucking hard. You buy a deal, like everyone knows, you start off doing this, it's fucking hard. And like so like the benefits are years away. Now here's my wife like helping out with like bookkeeping, which is like that has nothing to do with her life. She's basically like, what the fuck am I doing with this? And so that's how it started. And now a few years into it, like she's like, and she was always into it, but I get now seeing the benefits of her hard work, right? My hard work and the combination of our hard work, it's like sort of something that's like, it's definitely, it's strengthened our relationship because like, listen, she feels like what she has been a contributor to our success. Because by the way, if she was not behind this, one is we would not have saved all those millions of taxes because she's the only one that could unlock them. And then secondly, there'd be a tremendous amount of friction in our relationship. If every time at 7 p.m. or whatever the night was during the weekend, I was like, hey, I'm gonna go out to the office. She completely understands what I'm doing, right? This is not like, she understands, she knows every single penny in our portfolio. She can tell you every single asset we own, right? Because like she's bought in, like she knows that basically like we're gonna be 48 years old and we're gonna be on Wednesdays at noon playing tennis together, right? I mean that's like because like we're gonna be able to live that life because like we're not gonna have to work forever. So like she like that's a huge piece of this. Like if my wife was like against this and rooting against me and like not willing to take the time to understand, this wouldn't have happened this way. I mean, we'd be, it'd be just a much different scenario, right? We'd have like friction in our marriage, which trickles down negatively to so many other things. So, the fact that she's bought in and supportive of this and understands, like, listen, first of all, and she knows, I think now she's appreciative. She understands, like, hey, my husband is fucking grinding in his like, in the off times, like when other husbands are sitting around like, watching fucking football. My husband's grinding, and like making a huge impact for our family so that we never have to worry, hopefully, about any of these things.
Craig, I still watch football and get shit done, bro. Come on, don't knock that down.
Listen, I love football. I love watching football.
Come on, bro. I process leads while I'm watching football.
Yeah, dude,
Guys,
I love
you know
football.
what? You know why I love Craig? Because like his wife's crying at the dinner table. My wife's crying because all the crazy stuff I do at the restaurant with LaGuardia Aircut, Sloan Kettering. Me and Craig have a lot of similarities. We're like we're certain type people that I never met his wife, but I can imagine she's a very good person. Like I God bless my wife. I'm a high level entrepreneur. I'm a serial entrepreneur. And my wife knows how to handle me. And not a lot of women would be able to know how to handle like me the right way. And my success I attribute, like he said, to my wife because she sees how I grind and she supports me. And my wife, like I said, she likes to go on vacations now. Like, we used to do 2 or 3 when I was at the restaurant. We do about 14, 12, 14 a year. I mean, so my wife wants to spend money and go away. So my wife, I have to grind. Like, even though I'm retired, which entrepreneurs don't retire, guys, we grow. Elon Musk, billionaires are not retired. They work 7 days a week. Bill Gates works 7 days a week, so yeah, do we live an amazing lifestyle? Yeah, no, I'm living a great life, but it's a grind and his wife's on board. And in the beginning, guy, you might look at him and be like, "Oh, Craig's so lucky. He's got it easy. The wife works with him and they're so happy." No, the beginning was crying. My wife.
Oh yeah, literally, so the beginning was literally like, I mean, I remember like vividly like of literally my wife. She was like helping with the bookkeeping, so she had to get material hours in the business. and she, was like crying, basically like, what the fuck am I doing here? Like, that's, I mean, that my thing is like, that is like, since she, for anyone who's starting off and trying to explain this to your, significant other, it's certainly not easy. I mean, I think it's an important element and worth putting in the time and like helping them understand, like, by the way, like also when you're working on these things that are gonna, make your future brighter, um, you know, versus like you could be doing other things, right? I mean, you could be out, and doing a whole variety of things that will, that be taking time away from you and your wife or husband, and that's not contributing to your future, right? So I think that it's when I say it's obviously it's a conversation. It takes time and the whole thing. And my wife is believes in me, which I greatly appreciate. But yes, of course, it takes time to help people see things that aren't there yet, right? That there's nothing to show for this. I mean, even like our first tax check, literally after we bought the first mobile home park, we got our first huge tax check. It was probably 2 years after we closed the first mobile home park.
So Craig, we're gonna go right into it because we're getting up. This is good. And this is important because a lot of people closing deals in MIH and Jake and Gino and Rod Cleef and all these things, and they're not properly set up. Like, I'm not gonna say his name, and I'm gonna help him. He went on the chat and he's like, "Hey, I needed this," and I'm like, "Dude, you're in like 3 or 4 deals." I'm like, "You don't have that person yet." I'm like, "You should have had that person before you had the deals." So I want to talk about I want you to talk about because you met with my accountant. I want you to talk about investing in the right partners, accountants, lawyers, your full team. Exactly. Like this is another thing. It's so broad, but talk about your partners, accountant too. Talk about what you did because you're getting set up the right way.
Yeah. So it's the same thing as like basically the mentorships and masterminds. I used to, 5 years ago, like I basically thought like if you said like, I thought of these things as expenses, right? I put all these things pretty much anytime money left my pocket, I viewed it as an expense. And that, included like a mastermind or a mentorship or like, a more expensive accountant or lawyer or like, specialized individual. Now I recognize or I've come to recognize over the past few years that all those things are investments and basically the best investments you're going to make, like, when I go through all those important roles that the Marco just mentioned, I had a shitty accountant for, I mean, they're just an accountant that wasn't, that skilled, for basically my whole life until 3 years ago. Now I have an accountant that is a complete stud, is a real estate specialist. Is basically like, he is working with like absolute monstrous real estate guys. I'm like I'm like just a tiny, guppy. This guy's dealing with absolute whales in New York. And so I get to draft off, the strategies that they're implementing for people that are way smarter and more sophisticated and wealthier than I am. I mean, so that person alone has given me the confidence, as I sort of spoke about the mentorships in a similar vein. That guy gave me the confidence to implement this whole tax strategy around bonus depreciation, a real estate professional, cost segs. I mean, again, that's literally saved me millions of dollars. That I would never have the confidence to do it without someone. Again, there's obviously many great accountants out there, but someone like him who gave me the confidence and had the deep understanding to advise me properly. Same goes for lawyers. And now I literally have multiple lawyers I use depending on the situation. I have one specialized mobile home park lawyer. I have one now that does like contracts across real estate and looks at sort of every document that I touch. So and again, like all these the people on my team, I mean, like I have to say, like, probably the way I'm talking, it sounds like I'm working like around the clock and all this type of stuff. Like that's really not the case at all. I would say that I'm working very often at trying to improve myself and improve my business. As far as a lot of the doing, that's done by other people. And that's, again, I think that's one of the best things I've done, is that like the people on my team are outstanding. Now, again, of course, listen, I had to kiss many frogs before I found a prince. but there is like, our team is so solid, and I have such a high level of trust in them. They work their ass off. They're trustworthy. I love, every single one of them. They make my life so easy. And that's a huge component. And again, I'm sure that many of you are at different stages of this, but like someone just put in the chat, Who Not How. It's one of my favorite books. That's is such a huge difference to me, because that allows me, like, oftentimes, like when I say that I'm in here like grinding, maybe grinding is the wrong term, because I'm actually like, I'm working at improving myself and our business. I'm actually not grinding. There's other people on the team that are doing a lot of the stuff. I'm spending this time, again, especially as time goes on, thinking more, being more strategic. I'm thinking about now, like I heard Marco mention, like, based on the numbers in the marketplace now, should I be building something? Does that make more sense now? If that's the case, like now I have to spend time thinking strategically about learning how to build, what sort of now advisors and professionals do I need to build something. I need to talk to my accountant. Hey, like, what are some strategic plays I can make from a tax perspective that's different if I build something versus buying something, right? So like that is a lot of time spending now is not let's say the busy work that I was doing originally. It's more time around, sort of like expanding my mind and how I think about things, how I evaluate investments, pretty much things that to help lead the team in the right direction.
Greg, we got a good question, and I know the answer, but I want you to answer it. What is your wife doing? It's good, and Serena, I'm glad you asked this. This is gonna help people. What does your wife do to meet the 750-hour requirement for real estate professional?
Yeah. So my at this point now, my wife is just so broadly involved across the board. We have so much real estate that like it's not a stress. My wife is a very, very strict rule follower. So like the first couple years, she kept the spreadsheet with every single minute she did. I mean, I can literally, if you want, I'm not sure who asked that, but like I can literally go and get the log and like and send it to you, or like send a screenshot of it. But like I can tell you that she did a lot of it. So my wife was a partner is a partner in an art gallery. So she ran that business for before she changed her structure to become a real estate, so she could be a non W-2 person and be a real estate professional. She ran this gallery every day. So she ran the entire business. So it was it's running a small business. So she basically like ran the books, met with the bookkeeper, all that type of stuff for this business. So she was very involved in the finance piece of the business, the bookkeeping and helping onboard the bookkeeping. And my wife literally, again, doesn't know shit about accounting software. She trained herself in Rent Manager, was like literally watching like Rent Manager videos and helping us like onboard assets and do all type of stuff. So a lot of it was around bookkeeping. And some of the stuff I'm just like sort of drawing a blank. I can go into my wife's logs and send it to you, or send you a description of that. But a lot of it was around the finance function.
Okay. So let me take a look over here.
And again, the finance function, by the way, may sound very intimidating. My wife was not like an investment banker, right? I mean, this is like accounts receivable, accounts payable, like the blocking and tackling of like bookkeeping was what my wife was involved with. That even as we got a bookkeeper, like getting them on board with Rent Manager. My wife was doing all the troubleshooting with the accounting software, and we had to onboard 400 tenants with books that were a fucking mess. I mean, like I can't even tell you how many hours and hours and hours my wife spent on Rent Manager, just literally, onboarding all the tenants.
Wow. So one thing I want to add to his lawyers, accountants, guys, in MIH, we now have. I never want to refer out, because my accountant. I have 3 accountants, guys. Now I had one accountant when I had the restaurant and like 3-4 deals, the 2 shopping centers and a 4-family. Then when I got up to about 30 properties, my accountant since I was 18 messed up. He couldn't keep up. He's like, holy shit, when did you close all these deals? Like I was closing 10 deals a year in 2021. So I trained, because the accountant I got was very good, and he messed up. And all accountants, by the way, go, oh, I know how to do K1s and whatever. And yeah, it's easy. And he sent the K1 to my accountant. This guy's really good, and he messed up. My accountant's like, dude, this is wrong. Sent it back. He goes, oh, the software is not reading the numbers right. It was wrong again. So I said, you know what? Let's get on Zoom. I trained the second accountant. Now we're on deal number 42. I trained the third accountant. So now I'm splitting the first accountant, my main accountant, just does my tax return now. That's it. And I pay him consulting a little bit to babysit the other two accountants and look at the K1s and be like, dude, he's got my fucking back. I'm like, dude, you got my back. Make sure they don't mess up my cost segs, my tax benefits, and everything on my K1s. He's my original accountant. He's just too busy. He's like 65. He could have retired 10 years ago. He loves what he does. He's a fucking genius. He's really that good. And he only deals with high level people now. He got rid of all his regular accounts. So I kept him. I said, you're not doing any more K1s. He's like, come on. I'm like, no, I'm going to consult you and you're going to do my regular tax return. And my tax return's costs a lot. So the other two accountants, one handles 30 K1s and the other one has like, I think like, because my brother takes care of 13, has like 4 or 5. My brother I don't have to worry about because I get him for my brother, the 14 deals. So I have 2. The second one's now getting all the new deals. So when you have a couple deals, you have an accountant, 3, 4, 5. Once you get to like, Craig and Jaideep and Robert Musso, you get to 20 deals. You might want to look into, I got to talk to Robert Musso and Jaideep. Maybe you might want to look into training a second accountant to take some K1s off the first accountant and do some of the work and whatever needs to be done, whatever. So I have a lot of partnerships. That's why my partnerships, my K1s, a lot of them have partnerships with, it's me, Ramo, Dr. Gupta. So he's got to get a K1 and break it into 3. So once again, lawyers, I got Yosef. I saw him jump on. He's down in the bottom. I have a lawyer. He's my partner. Yosef met me March 2020. And Taylor Billman's in the way. Let me let him in. And Yosef joined MIH. And then, we started partnering. Yosef's in 17 deals with me. He does all my legal due diligence. He does all my operating agreements. I'm very fortunate. And I'm fortunate to have Yosef, and Yosef's fortunate to have me because we just keep doing deals together. So he does a lot of work for me, Yosef, the operating agreements and stuff. So what Craig did was, like he said, he started out and he had a shitty accountant. Guys, if you're buying deals, in the beginning, I know you're going to be cheap. You're at your W-2 and you got like 2 deals. One's not paying and has had issues. The other one's cash flowing a little bit. And you don't want to go spend more money on an accountant. I get it. When you start cash flowing a little bit and you have a 3rd deal or a 4th deal, whatever, you got to invest in yourself, as in you're an MIH. Join another mastermind. You invest in yourself a little bit. Get a better accountant. Costs you a little bit more money. As your income grows and passive grows, you got to grow. Right, Craig? You got to spend the money.
Yeah.
To make money, spend the money, bro.
It's also, when I say, again, it's an investment. It's not, I spend I'd say a very small percent of my income, like, sort of bullshit stuff and whatever, like personal enjoyment stuff. I mean, I have some, but I mean, like, it's very minimal, but like these things now, like what he's describing, like, again, like my accountant, lawyer, always type of things, like these guys will, if you're getting the right ones, especially, like, I also think of these things as like, this is not like a reactionary thing for me, right? This is basically a very strategic thing. Like me going and finding my accountant, like I'm on the offensive. I literally before I do anything, I talk to my accountant. I literally WhatsApp my accountant almost every single day. I'm not exaggerating. On the weekends, the whole thing. Like every time that I'm like considering something, I run it by him. Because why is that? Because like he's like, again, he's like helping direct me and advising me. This is not like I don't show up at his house August 14th and hand him my paperwork and say, please do my taxes. Like this is a daily dialogue where he is advising me and guiding me to, basically to be the most efficient real estate investor I can be.
So hold on one sec. I'm just texting Serena. I just texted you my cell number. I'll set up a call with you. I want to meet you, and then we can refer and talk, see what you need. See how many deals you have, like what you got going on. We'll set up a call. Let me just text you.
But that's something that I basically at this point now, I'd say that because again, it's a mindset thing. I'd like sort of change how I spend, I'm very, very open. I have very loose purse strings when it comes to, specialized people like, again, like, real estate lawyers, real estate accountants. Like on the big deal, I hired a due diligence team specialized in due diligence for mobile home parks, right? Like those type of people that are the top of their field. And then also, education. Like, it's funny. Mark was talking about buying a business. I literally bought Cody Sanchez's newest into Cody Sanchez, who does small business acquisitions. I just purchased that today. Her mastermind and like her course. But yeah, all the mentorships and masterminds and then like, sort of highly skilled professionals that are going to help me, elevate my game. And the reality is like us, also the people on this call, if you're not a lawyer or an accountant, I'd say I know more about, real estate accounting now than the average person. But again, I'm never going to be an accountant. So like for me to think that I'm going to go online and figure stuff out myself, I just wouldn't have confidence like risking that much of my family's money without like having a real professional that I trust advising me.
So we're running not an hour, but I mean, I got some more questions. We're gonna do this quick. Investor, we covered that. We're gonna skip that one real quick. So let's talk about delayed gratification. We'll come back to. Let's talk about. We'll come back to using your W-2 as fuel, because I want some of the young guys on here, and I'm gonna, before I do it, I used my restaurant as fuel to retire early. Multifamily is only good if you can invest money into it. If you're raising money, you're getting 2% GP and a little bit of AC fee, and you're putting $20,000, $5,000 into it, you're going to be in this for 30 years. So you need your bread and butter, whether it's your W-2, fix and flip, wholesaling, whatever it is. So Craig, go into let's talk about this, Craig. You lead the way, and I'll finish up about your W.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's is a, again, first of all, this is like this is my experience, like, so again, everyone has their own, sort of individual, path and whatever. I have a W-2 job. I've been fortunate, for my whole career. I've like, for the most part, like my job, been successful enough and I've had discretionary income from those jobs. So, especially in the last 5 years, as my, this is so far the peak of my earnings cycle, and that could change, tomorrow, of course. But like, I have chosen to, take, not, make as much money as I can in my job. So I put myself in a position in my W-2 job to make as much as possible, right? Two is figure out a way to shield as much of that from tax as possible, right? So I'm basically netting the highest amount of money and then taking the majority of that money and investing that aggressively in, cash flowing assets. So that's what, so I'm grateful. Yes, my job, without going into all the details, like my job is pretty unique and I'm very grateful for it. But like, let's say that my job was like, mediocre. I mean, at the end of the day, it still gives me sort of like the stability, right? Especially if I have the discipline, right? And I have the stability, I can take money from that job and go start investing it and start, compounding and multiplying it, like, and start, really building wealth. So, for anyone that has a job on this call, and a lot of people, it's like popular now to like demonize like jobs and shit and like whatever, and, chasing other things. But first of all, nothing wrong with any of those paths. But like, if you have a job, even if there's components you don't like, I'm not advocating for staying in a job you don't like. But, one thing to look at, if you are receiving income from someone else and, you have extra hours in the day, you can take those extra hours and learn about, you can join MIH, you can, learn about these assets in different ways, and you can take your money from your job and start investing it into assets, right? And then over the course of time, like the delayed gratification thing Marco said, like, I'd say that I've been very serious about this now for 5 years. 5 years of like, sort of going, full throttle, really dedicating myself to this, making sacrifices, working hard at this, learning a ton. First of all, I'm still basically, I call myself a rookie. But over those, I'm because of like this, having my W-2 job, taking that money, investing in myself, my education in real estate, I'm now starting to really feel the impacts of that. But I mean, a lot of the things I'm feeling now, a lot of the money to my account now is because of seeds I was planting, let's say, 3 to 5 years ago, basically all of them, right? Like, there's nothing good's happening to me now that I started doing like 9 months ago, right? This is all, let's say all of it's, 3 to 5 years ago. And like, even the course of that, if I wrote you a description of these projects, for the most of it, you'd be like, that sounds fucking painful, like, because again, there's a lot of bumps in the road. Now I'm really feeling the benefits of that financially. I mean, sort of like, to the point where it's, pretty much life altering, I would say. and certainly have affected the trajectory of my life, retirement, like financial stability and freedom. But for a lot of it, listen, there's pain associated with this, and you have to, a lot of it just sort of hanging in the pocket, right, for a long time. And it will, I mean, I feel very confident saying, unless you're making, very bad investment choices in real estate, it will work out in the long term if you're willing to sort of like, have the right attitude and hang in the pocket and take a few hits, which you definitely will, and stick it out long term.
So to talk about him, same thing like me. Guys, everybody's journey is different. Like Jason Bake, I think quit his job and he might be going back, but like some people quit their jobs, like bet on yourself and just go full time. It depends on your situation. My journey is like me and Craig are very similar. From age 21 to 43, I was at the restaurant. It was blood, sweat, and tears. My life sucked. Okay, I love being a chef. Burns all up and down my arms. Running Sloan Catering in New York City, running caterings. I was off Sunday, Monday, but Sundays nights at 10 o'clock, because I didn't put my kids to bed, I was doing the bills for the week for 2-3 hours to see how much I made at the end of the week, reconciling. Monday we were closed, but I had to get caterings ready for like calls coming in for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So I mean, I was off with my family, but I'd be out to dinner and I'd get catering requests. So when you own a business, you work 7 days a week, basically. You have to. Like people like you just accept it, and people say, "Oh, you're business. Yeah, I'm a business owner. I'm off Sunday, Monday. I'm off 2 days, but I work 7 days a week." I grinded. I think I took one sick day in 20 years. I have a very good immune system. Because my dad, same thing. In 20 years, he took like no sick days. I'm not kidding. Like when I was 23 or 24, I tried to go to work with a high fever, and my mom and my girlfriend, my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, made me stay home. I tried to like sneak out of the house. So in 20 years, I took one sick day. So I grinded. Why did I grind? First of all, I love being a chef. I love winning awards. I love feeding people chicken parm and putting smile on their faces. And I had a great job. I put smiles on people's faces. People love the chef. They would hug me, everything. It was a great job. I had to deal with a staff that was really tough, staffing, hiring, and the shitty part of the job. But like him, I used the job as fuel to invest. Bought the 4 family at 23. At 32, 33 with my brother. It was 2008. My brother comes into the restaurant and he's like, 2009, this fucking recession. He's like, my brother looks at me, he goes, 2015 or 13 or 14, something like that, 16, we're out of here. He goes, I'm figuring something out. We were looking at laundromats. We were gonna buy other businesses, business acquisition. We had a shopping center with a laundromat in the bottom. We were going to buy the laundromat from the guy, coin operated, and we are going to buy like 3 trucks and like who not how and do it with people and just like diversify businesses. I was invited to another restaurant. My brother looked at me, he's like, we're going to figure out. And the vehicle my brother found for us was, we were already investing in multifamily in New York, but it wasn't cash flowing amazing. It was cash flowing good. He figured out how to invest in Tennessee when my buddy moved from New York to Tennessee, and I introduced them to. So we figured it out. But we used the W-2 as fuel until I could get my passive to like 20K. And then like Kiyosaki says, 2 times over, and then compound and keep going. And then I left. So, I mean, I'll give you an example, guys. Dr. Gupta is 64 or 5. He won't tell me his age, my partner. He's in 18 deals with me. So you have the person who goes, I hate my job, then quit. Fine. Bet on yourself, quit, go do it. That's okay. That's great. Do everything. Buy an Amazon business, start an e-commerce business, sell. I have Jordans, sell Jordans. You could start 32 businesses. Like anybody could do it. But I'm going to give you an example. Dr. Gupta, he's a gastroenterologist. He now has it really good. He can work like 2-3 days a week, but he still works. In the last deal we did, he put 100K, 50 for his daughter and his son, and he put 200K for him. He embraced that. He's like, I came from India. I was an immigrant. I paid for my own college. I suffered and everything. I want to be a doctor. I don't want to quit. He just put a $1.5 million 1031 into a property with us. So he's using his W-2 for fuel, and he's always on vacation now. Like now, 65, but he still has an office. It depends on your mindset, guys. Nothing is wrong. It's what do you want? So you got to sit down and you got to figure out, what do you want? I wanted, you know what I wanted, guys? My brother left in 2016. He's 4 years older than me. He felt bad for me. He goes, Marco, join me. I said, Gino, you're 4 years older. Say that's 300,000 a year he made. You have $1.2 million more of income than me because I was 21 and you're 25 or whatever when we started, right? I need 2 or 3 years. He goes, you know what? I'll lend you 100, 200K into, you pay me back into deals. We were a family. I said, I'm not borrowing money. I never borrowed a dollar from my brother, and I should have. I never did. I said, nope, I'm going to stay here 2 or 3 years. He said, you're going to last 1 year without me. It was 2016. 2019, I called him. We're selling this fucking thing. And I lasted 3 years without you, bro. And the 3 years sucked because you weren't there with me. It was just money. But I did it. Okay? I embraced the fuck. I embraced the suck. I held back on that one. Wow. I embraced the suck, guys. 3 years without my brother. It sucked. It was just money. When the espresso machine would blow and it was $3,000, I had to make the call. When the freezer in the back broke, I had to make the call. My brother wasn't there. When my brother was there, the freezer would break. I'm like, Gino, call the guy for the freezer. I'm going to handle the 2 catering, 3 caterings going out in a little bit. Okay? And he's like, yeah. He's like, good. He goes, good, let's sell. And I sold it. So guys, it's on entrepreneurs, you got to embrace the suck. You got to just do it. You guys here, you want to be entrepreneurs, you just got to do it, man. You got to put your head down and grind your whole life. You got to have, my dad taught me you have to have thick skin. You have to be like Craig. He's grinding in a good way, but we enjoy life. You grind, you hustle in your 20s, you build in your 30s, you enjoy in your 40s. He's enjoying and he's grinding, but he's enjoying. When his wife goes, hey, let's go out to dinner, boom, drop whatever you want. Let's go on vacation, boom, drop whatever you want. You got to hustle in your 20s, build in your 30s, enjoy in your 40s. And if you didn't get there 40, too bad. It's okay. Keep hustling your 40s. Get there when you're 50. You want to get to 65 and not just rely on Social Security. That's why you're in MIH. You want to invest in a little crypto. You want to buy some assets. All right. Last thing, because we're an hour in. Real assets. No, let's just talk about, tonight, what I heard from you, we're going to end this right now. And people need to do it slowly as they grow. Like Carlos Daza, he's in a deal and say he gets in 2, 3, 4, 5 more deals, whatever. Even when Carlos is 55, whatever. Talk about, you joined Jake and Gino, Craig. Talk about MIH, talk about the mobile home, your belief in mentors now, as you start to make money. It
is absolutely the best return on my, investing in, mentorships and masterminds. Not every one of them, of course, like they're not all created equal, but the ones that I can tell you, I'm in MIH. I was in Jake and Gino. I'm not sure the exact cost, but let's say that those were, I'm not even $10,000, $20,000. I made 7 figures. In these asset classes. So I don't have a better return on my portfolio. I'm basically mobile home parks. I basically wanted this is an MIH unique. This is obviously a much, again, sort of a much broader, deeper, mastermind. These are very, very close relationships. I did a very tactical, sort of one-on-one for mobile home parks. Literally where I, no relationship, no community, but basically one-on-one, hey, how do mobile home parks work, 10-owned homes, park-owned homes, that type of thing. I spent $4,500 on that. Okay. And then I spent $2,000 on the Frank and Dave thing. So that's $6,500. And I've made multiple 7 figures on mobile home parks, and by the way, would I have felt comfortable pursuing that if I didn't have that sort of baseline of knowledge from someone who's an expert? No. So, this thing that I mentioned today, Cody Sanchez, I'm not sure if I'll buy a small business. I think I will. Now I feel more comfortable with building team and systems. I think I'll end up buying a small business. So I spent $10,000 on this Cody Sanchez thing. $10,000, by the way, I'm not making light of that. I understand understand $10,000 is a lot of money, but basically my max downside, my max downside is $10,000. I'm sure that if I, basically you get out what you put in. I'm sure if I put forth the effort that I know is required to be successful with those things, I'm sure over the next 5 years that I'll end up making 7 figures off that, So,
Craig, I know you. You'll dive into it when you have time, and you're gonna buy a business. I'm buying a business, dude. I'm closing on my first business acquisition. I said I was gonna do it. I found the who, not how. I'm by the way, I'm starting to get asked to be on boards with my experience. I can work maybe 20 hours for this company on a board, and they might pay me like $200,000.
That's awesome.
So
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? That's my goal, is to be on boards. I want to be on like 5 boards and make like 7 figures
Yeah.
with my experience in business. But like business acquisitions, that's what I'm doing. I was brought into the business acquisition where I want to buy this company. It's perfect for me. I'm going to the sales, I can 6x the sales the first year. I'm only going to 2x them because it would fuck the company up. I already built it. I already have the plan for them. I'm going to be in charge of marketing, even hiring. I'm going to be doing interviewing because I know what to do. I'm doing this with Chris in the management company. So you're going to do the Cody Sanchez thing. I know you're going to find the business if you want it. If I know you, do you want it? If you want it, you'll find it. Then you got to go find the partners, build the systems. It's you.
That's it. And that's how another thing I think now and again, a lot of this is from like, being like an MIH as an example. Like I completely, like, now, if you said, hey Craig, like, you have to go whatever, buy, laundry mats, as an example, someone threw out, like, I would not, I would literally think to myself now, again, who's going to run the laundry mats? I would basically start thinking about like because by the way, laundry mats are, you know, you can spend 5 hours educating yourself, or 5,000 hours. At the end of the day, like, the most important piece of the equation is finding someone who can run that system well. And it's not going to be me at this juncture. So, but again, like that's a whole, the fact that I'm even like talking about this is, I'm proud of myself. I would never have thought about this 4 years ago. Like when I joined MIH, I would not have been saying this, right? I would have been like, okay, great, shit, I got to run these laundry mats. Like, what am I going to do? Like, I got to like go to laundry mat. I got to take the coins out. I got to do this and that. Like, I'd be like trying to train myself how to run a laundry mat. Now if you told me I had to go spend $1 million of myself on laundry mats, like, I know 100% I wouldn't be running them. I wouldn't even be thinking about, hey, how am I going to go pick the coins up after work? Blah blah. That's not even a consideration, right? So that's a huge piece of like, being in groups like this, and like joining the right masterminds. Like, you just start, like, you just sort of elevate your mental game, right? That's a huge piece. It's like, again, I mentioned before, a lot of the time spending now is thinking strategically about the next moves I want to make and why, and then the best way to execute them. Like, I'm not going out there and executing a lot of the doing myself, right? So, but again, this is like, a lot of these things are, getting around people to think differently. And Jake and Gina was like sort of like my entree into this. I had a phenomenal experience with that. I learned a ton from that. A lot of this mindset things that really changed. Like, again, I mentioned Justin put something in the chat today about this large deal, right? I 1000%, without, MIH and without Jake and Gino, I would have missed out on that $14 million deal. That was the deal I did. It's $14 million. And there's no way I would have done that deal without like being around a group like this. I would have seen a deal that size. I would have had filters set up that have been like, that's way, but first of all, that was way too fucking big for me. But like, I didn't think that. I thought to myself, like, okay, I should think about, if this the right deal? Am I buying this right? Because if it's a great deal, I should want it to be as big as humanly possible, right? And then fill in the gaps. And that's what I did. But I almost remember sort of like, I was like sort of at a crossroads when I, talked to this owner, and I thought I was pursuing a $5 million mobile home park, and I thought that was too big for me. Then we get to know each other, and I come to find out it was a $14 million portfolio, when you include all the pieces. And that was, I sort of, took a moment, and again, because of the influence of these people that had like, had done bigger deals, looked at the market differently, understood real estate better than me. Because of their influences, I, shifted the way that I looked at it and said, okay, well, if I understand this is a good deal and I can get help from these people around me that know this better than me, if it's a good deal, then like, this is like, I should be wanting to pursue this regardless how big it is. Like, it's like, rich dad, poor dad type stuff. Like, it's not like, it's not, I can't afford it. It's how can I afford this? Right. And like, those are some of the changes you make being around people that are at a higher level than you.
Good. So guys, I know there's never any questions. I know it's just weird. Hadar always like, okay, let's get some questions. I'm like, Hadar, people want to ask, but people just don't, they don't ask questions. So we're over an hour, which is great. But I mean, we could take a couple questions if there's anybody that has any for Craig or for me, even about multifamily right now. I mean, anything. I got some good news before we end this. A member, we're not going to put it on the chat, has an 18 unit in contract with 2 other members. He came in, he's working his ass off. And I can't put it up because we wanted to go through due diligence and I don't want him to lose it because he lost another one. So that's some good news today in this 2023-24 tough times. But otherwise, Craig, I greatly appreciate you. A lot of people met you tonight. I have this recorded. I'm going to put this up. They're going to watch it. Craig doesn't have a lot of time to network. I mean, he's running a lot of all his units on his own. So that's why I was very happy for him to do this. The one thing I wanted people to get out of this is when I was at the restaurant and Craig is delayed gratification. I don't want you guys to see, I'm not going to say the names of people on social media going 2,000 units in 2 years and 3 years. They have masterminds now, and that's just not reality. And they're not high earners. One of the guys is making like 150,000 a year. Like he even wrote it in his post, and he's putting in like no money, or he's getting a couple percent GP for just being on the deal or something. So that's not inspiring you. That's misleading you. That's
Yeah.
kind of really, that's fucking stupid. And they're out there. They're and he's really not he's really dumb. He's not educated. So this tonight, this guy, that was education. You know, we could sugarcoat shit, and we don't do that in the mastermind. I can to get people in,
Yeah.
to get people to join. There's sugarcoating stuff to get people to join their masterminds. 3,000 units in 3 years, and you know, I got 4,000 units since I'm 23. You know, and I still am embarrassed. I don't want to say that. I don't like to tell people what I have. You know, I just do. I want to close for my 3 girls. So tonight was great education. Everybody here is going to do it. If you're an MIH, you're going to do it. I walked 5 miles today. I walk and jog 6. I walk and jog 5 and 6 miles, meaning run the health and wealth chat. And I'm 50 years old. I'm taking care of myself because I'm an entrepreneur. I'm not gonna say the word retired. I'm an entrepreneur. I live an amazing life. I want to be here 20 years more at least. I'm hoping to God 70 is still young, but I want to be a 20. I need to teach my 3 daughters every day. My 9-year-old's in 2 deals already. If she does a deal a year, she saves 10,000. I put in 15, 25K. Law of compounding in 5 years, refis, put in 50, 100. By 30, she'll be financially free. So I want to stay
Yeah.
healthy, you know, right? So, I
Yeah,
mean,
I mean, the delayed gratification thing is that's such a great point, Marco. Like that, you know, like again, like the large deal I keep coming back to. Like I can't even describe. I mean, really, so any of these deals. I mean, listen, you know, every deal I look at, every single thing that's like that. Like if you looked at my bank account and said like, you know, saw some distribution coming in, you know, like again, it looks good now. If you look back over the course of like at the beginning of the deal or the course of the deal, this is the large deal I did, which is the best deal I ever did in my life. It was, I mean, like that, you know, that basically nearly broke me. You know, I mean, you know, and like it was such a mess, literally for a couple years. I mean, like, you know, it just really now feeling like, you know, stabilized and like, you know, like comfortable and like really are my finances are in a good place, all that type of stuff. Like, so I think that's like what Mark was saying is like, it's just so important. Really one of the biggest reasons why I went to come on the call is because, you know, I feel fortunate that I've been able to, you know, say achieve some success at this, let's say financially. But I mean, like, you know, it was a, you know, really it was a mess. And so many, you know, the mess with a lot of problems. First of all of them worth it. I just don't want to think that's like, you know, getting into this and, you know, I'm not an expert, but I can tell you for certain that like, you know, that things will go wrong. 1000% shit will go wrong. It'll be super challenging, you know, moments. And like, you know, again, I'm not sure what it looked like for you. Everyone has their own sort of like set of problems that arise. But I mean, like, yeah, these deals that I'm doing now I feel proud of, you know, like having some like, you know, having like a financial acknowledgement of it being successful. But again, for a lot of these things, like for a big piece of them, there's just one deal I'm a partner on. I mean, I can't, like now I literally I'm getting, you know, because of a part of a refi, I'm getting, you know, like 280 grand in from this one deal. By the way, it's like, this deal is like sort of like insignificant, you know, it's not a significant part of our operations. It's a deal that I'm part of with someone on. I'm gonna get, so like this money's gonna hit, a large amount of money, 280 grand is gonna hit my account. That deal was just pure fucking pain for the first 18 months. Literally, like, look, there was something like the state came after us for something with the wrong with our septic system, like just literally like, multiple managers quitting or like doing something wrong. I mean, just like literally, it was only problems, right? For the first 18 months. So I mean, like, again, like it was like there was really nothing. Again, now I'm getting from that deal, I'm getting somewhere between 8,500 and 12,500 a month from that deal, and I'm just getting a refi for 280 grand. So if you looked at that now, you'd be like, wow, this was great. It was just
this
nonstop.
I love the vulnerable
Nonstop.
shit. I love the vulnerable shit because people hear, oh, you could post. He doesn't post, by the way. I love it because he's just like, he's not on social media. He could post, I just did a $280,000 refi, but you didn't hear like the fucking disaster for 18 months of pain and disaster. And guys, the more you suffer, the more you're gonna win. Carlos Daza, on your deal, you have a great deal. You find the property manager, you hire a new one, you have an issue with something, and everything. All the shit you're gonna go through. One day when you refi that fucking thing in 4 or 5 years, because you have community bank on it, right? Yeah.
I have a community bank on almost all of it. It was on some seller financing.
No, I'm telling Carlos. Carlos got a community bank. He texted me. He's going through some crap. He's got to fire a property manager. It's a 12 unit. Whatever. Or do something. I can't remember what.
That's correct. That's correct.
Yeah, all the headaches. And then like in year 3, you refi and you pull out, like, say you put in 200 grand, you're like, I just pulled out 200K. People hear that, but they don't realize they're like, I want to buy a deal like Carlos and pull out 200K. But then Carlos has got to remind people all the crap he dealt with for 2 years, but it's worth it. Like Craig said,
Dude,
it's so worth it.
So worth it.
And honestly, and that's not as well. Like, as like I now, like, I think this is like maybe like something I'm like most proud of, or one of the like sort of the best things. Because, dude, I fuck up things. I mean, literally every day, right? I mean, so it's not like I'm not an expert, even fucking close. I'd say I'm still closer to rookie than an expert, but like definitely from a couple mindset things I've changed. Like one of them is now, dude, I completely expect problems. Like now, if I get a phone call, like, I mean, whatever the fucking thing is, fires, trees falling on roofs, all this shit. I mean, like, I completely expect it. I'm just like, I literally like don't even like.
Greg.
I basically like and first of all, I'm a super fiery person, an emotional person. Like
you're
I would say
you're a fucking nut like me, and that's why I love it, bro.
I basically like I now am starting to really handle these situations with equanimity because I completely expect them. I'm not sure what the fucking problem is going to be, but like I just know there's going to be problems.
Carlos,
and that's
what were you saying, Carlos?
It sounds like for Craig, his goals are bigger than his problems.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, your goals are bigger than your problems.
Exactly right. The vision's bigger, and like I'm just like, you know what, dude, I don't care. Like, I don't really care. In the sense of like, yeah, of course, no one's problems. Everyone has them, but like, yes, I mean, like, I know it's gonna be like, I know that my vision is much larger than.
By the
these
way,
problems.
guys, we're gonna end this in a couple minutes, but you could drop off. I respect everybody staying, like everybody who's here. But we're gonna chat a couple more minutes. But like, I want to give an example. Justin's got like 7 deals, or 6, 7, whatever. And his first deal's crushing it. Justin, you're gonna go through some shit, bro. You know what I'm saying?
We're already going through shit.
I know, but embrace the suck and go through shit, suffer, get it fucking done. Get to that refi in 25, 26. It's gonna take you to 25 or 26. We talked, and then one day when you refi and compound, it's gonna be year 5, 6, and 7. You're so young, bro. Like Gary Vee says. Just keep crushing, keep closing deals, keep grinding. Don't worry about money. You're gonna be broke for a long time. It's okay. You're young. Your wife's gonna start working one day, making money, and that's gonna help. Okay. So, right? Are you going through stuff, Justin, or no?
Yeah, we're always putting out fires, going through stuff. I mean, I most of my deals are already on, it's been the last 2-3 years are already on their second property management company. Like, so it's just, there's always problems to put out, and some of these are, like Craig mentioned, 18 months of hell, and then you wake up one day and you're like, this is an awesome deal now. So
yeah, and that's another thing as well about like, this type of stuff you were saying, like the vulnerability and whatnot, like, and like being honest, like, if you have other people's money, this is how you should talk. You know what I mean? Like there's like, if you, I mean, let's say if anyone's investing, I'm sure listen, Marco is obviously way more seasoned at this than I am. I have a few buddies that are invested in the deal, but like, this type of like talking, like, again, unfortunately, a lot of people painted very rosy, unrealistic pictures. And now, I mean, the market's more challenging now. That's the reality. We're all going through it. It's more challenging. The costs are high. I mean, like basically asset prices are higher, lending costs are higher, insurance is higher, all this type of stuff. All these things affect, NOI and returns that are promised to investors. Like, this is in my opinion, at least, this is the type of transparency and honesty, like Chris, like I'm going to deal with Marco. If you don't mind me saying Marco, I'm going to deal with Marco and Chris Jackson. And, there was, I guess something must happen to the property, and they basically, they say reduce the distribution and on this deal. And like, there's a buddy of mine that's in the deal, and he basically doesn't, is not investing in real estate besides this. And he said, oh, it's like, is everything okay? Like everything okay that, they reduce the distribution. I said, these guys that are running this deal, and this, first of all, this is a young guy that doesn't understand real estate, invest, whatever. I said, he was asking me out of curiosity. I said to him, I said, these guys that are running this deal, I said, if they did this, they have a good reason, because these guys are professionals. They're transparent. Like, you might deal with people, unfortunately, that say that everything is going great and going perfectly. And like, until all of a sudden, like there's a capital call or something happens. And then it's like, oh, well, maybe things weren't perfect. Like I said, like this is the difference with these guys, is that I don't even think about it, because I know their dedication, to the cause. I understand like their level of transparency and diligence and understanding of everything they own.
Craig,
right?
which deal is that we reduced to half?
Villas.
University Villas. It's 108 unit. And while there's foreclosures and whatever, we reduced to half draw. Instead of 7%, it's 3.5%. So some of my investors called that. By the way, that deal's doing amazing. It's 100% occupied.
Yes.
It's 100% occupied, but we had some issues. I'm not going to say the name of the person that lives locally, but everybody here knows it. Caused the problem on the property. We did a $150,000 paving job, and he didn't show up that day, and 30 cars got towed at $500 a pop. So I had to fix the issue. We got 15 vacancies from it. And in 45 days, I filled the 15 vacancies with Nick. And that property is now 100% occupied for the last like 6 months. So to be careful, we reduced the draws. And like, even if you go to no draws is okay. But the good thing is we have, good investors. You like Craig said, is you have to be transparent and I thank God the deal is doing great, because, syndication is not easy. So
Yeah, there's bumps in the road. There's bumps. Every single deal has its own bumps in the road. That's the reality, right? So I mean, like, so again, obviously Chris and Marco at the top of their game, and like they we're just basically like, if this issue arose that Marcus referring to,
but Craig, being transparent. That deal is such a kick-ass fucking deal. It's a B+ A class, 1 mile from KU Medical. I should have never got that phone call when it like an issue, like I had to help. You know what I'm saying? So like now I have to talk to my investors because of a lack of work of somebody on the team that caused this issue. But like but it's still, the deal's doing great. But like your friends see, us, and I'll tell you, like I'll call Craig up. I'll be like, Craig, this is what happened, dude. Everything's fixed. He's like, yeah, Craig's like, I don't give a shit. I don't care. 7%, 3.5% for a while, because we have a catch up. I mean, if it refis or sells, they're gonna get, you never lose your 7%. You're gonna get caught up. So it's not a big deal. As long as Craig understands that the deal's doing good. And then Craig,
long term.
Yeah, then you'll explain to the new, like I had to call my doctors and explain to them, like, hey, they're like, why did it go down? Like, no, you're not in trouble. We're being careful with the recession. Yeah. And we had to adjust and pivot to errors that were made. But
but that's my point. But that's a again, that was a say above the road that you guys say addressed immediately. You guys were honest about. I mean, that's a credit to obviously, you and your team and the confidence your team has, because like the moral of the story is, of course, like there are unforeseen things that come up. The best thing you can do is address immediately. and to be transparent about it, like Marco and Chris did, I'm sure they do
Yeah,
every
you
time
have
that arises.
You have to, or else you're gonna
Yeah.
get destroyed on social media, or just
Yeah.
your legacy is gonna get destroyed. But anyway, guys, I'm looking at everybody here. I saw everybody who came tonight. I truly, from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you guys for coming, supporting us. I want to thank Craig. I got this recording, and now this recording forever in the MIH library for old members, new members can watch this. And his story, I love his fucking story, is because it's me when I was younger, and when I got to where I got to now, and I resonate with it, and I believe in everything he believes in. So Ian, Justin, Steve, everybody who came, just want to say thank you guys. I love this stuff. Have a great night. I'll be on the chat in about an hour or two, probably putting up leads and tours that I've been doing. Look at Mike because so I'll be blowing up the chat in a little bit. Shut your phone and put it on mute. And that's it. I'll talk to you guys this week. Thank you for coming. Have
Thanks,
a good
guys.
night, guys.
All right,
Craig,
thank you so
Marco.
much.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Craig.
Marco.
See you guys.
Take
Craig,
care.
you're the man. See you, bud.
Thanks,
everyone.
guys. Well done.